Let's Talk Oculus, a VR podcast, is proudly sponsored by the good folks at Patreon. If you want to support the show, join us on patreon.com/Let's Talk Oculus. What's up, Oculus nerds? Welcome back to Let's Talk Oculus, episode 206. I'm your host, as always. I'm Dan, joined by my co-host, as always. It is Samson. How you doing?
Oh, I am doing well, Dan. Doing well. I've been playing a lot of retro this week, but I did get in some VR, which I also sort of went retro with. But how have you been, Dan? How have you been?
I'm okay. I'm very excited for what's to come in the future with these big titles. We finally got the Thief VR gameplay that we've been waiting for a very long time. And we've had Reach, we've had Arcanage, we've had Deadpool, but we finally got Thief VRs, which I'm excited to talk about in a moment. And then in part 2, we're getting on our exercise bikes. We're putting our vests on.
Vroom, vroom.
We're strapping.
It's just your legs.
It's just our legs. We have the developer of Pedal Rebel VR on the show, where he'll be talking about everything when it goes to development of the game and the challenges he's facing, as well as this unique title that he's built, which is really, really cool. So we have that in part 2. So enjoy. We have another. This is a second guest episode, back to back now. But first, Samson, we've got Thief VR, we've got Forefront to talk about, we've got Walkabout's newest course that has just been unveiled as well. We're going to talk about. So we have a lot to talk about. First things first, bit of housekeeping. Discord, as always, there's a link below. Come join the Discord. It's absolutely free to join, and there's a really good community on there that everyone should join if you're not there already and you're listening to the pod. If you like us so much, patreon.com/Let's Talk Oculus. If you want to throw us $1, keeps us going for sure. And also, I forgot to mention the Discord. We have Walkabout tournaments going on. We mention it all the time.
Got some newbies too.
Yeah, season 12 of the Walkabout tournament that Healing Entree is putting on, where you'll submit 2 scores or spit 2 scores for 2 courses and 2 race modes for them as well. We just had the season 1 week 1 with Bogies Bonanza and Seagull Stacks. Samson, you chose Seagull Stacks to do, and you never did it. What was going on there?
Well, didn't we do it that night? Oh, no, we didn't do it that night. Dan, there's so much on the plate.
Yeah,
it's because I went to Vermont last weekend.
But if you want to get involved, join the Discord. We also play Walkabout every single Thursday as well at 7 p.m. Eastern, although that's going to switch to the weekend soon, but more on that in the Discord. Samson, we've got lots to talk about here, so let's continue this show. We have Dan, a few...
Oh, do you want me to read off some scores?
Sure, go on.
All right. Well, last week, what course did you pick again?
Bogies Bonanza.
Oh, right. We did play that all on Thursday.
I didn't realize how easy it is for a lot of our players. Like, I had a tough time because I haven't played for ages, but a lot of people, like, crazy scores. Anyway, back to you.
Well, yeah, Dan, we've got some newbies. We've got some competition for Baru Monkey, it seems, this season. Because on Bogies Bonanza, our top 4 were Healing Entree and Parody for Life at -19, Baru Monkey at -22, and just a bit further, Yankee Dude with -24.
Incredible scores. I think I had -11.
I had -16. I was just there in 5th, you know.
Pretty good.
I see Maestro's back too. Good to see the Maestro back. And then in race mode, we had the top 3 of Yours Truly with 539, Healing Entree with 507, and Baru Monkey with 425. Jiminy Crickets.
Did he even play, or did he skip to the last hole? Who's to say?
Yeah, I think he just flew there.
That last hole in Bogies Bonanza takes 44 minutes, to be fair, of how long that hole is.
That is true. That's true. And in hard mode, which was Seagull Stacks, we had, Dan, we have a top 5 because we had a few ties. Maestro with -3. Congratulations. Kim Kai with -8, tied with Healing Entree. And in gold, first place, we had Baru Monkey and Parody for Life with -15. Congratulations, everybody. And then in race mode, we had Kimmy Kai with 804, Healing Entree with 708, and Baru Monkey with 535. Kim,
Very
welcome to the charts. See, this is why I didn't take part, Dan.
That's right, to give everyone a chance. Okay, we had a few listener comments, but we've got one to read on the show. This is from, excuse my pronunciation here, I want to say Siegfried or
Siegfried.
Sure, one of us
Would be
could
my
be
guess.
right. One of us could be right. This was on last week's episode, the one with Lucas and Walkabout special episode we had. They said that my top 5 courses are Atlantis, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Olympus, Mist, and Seagull Stacks coming in at 5. He also said bad 8-bit lair. I'm not sure what he means there, if 8-bit lair is just not the one he likes, or if it was a typo and was meant to be 6. I don't know. But they'd say, I think Dante's 9 levels of hell would be very cool. And the Castle of the Crystal, the Dark Crystal. Late suggestion, but Nightmare Before Christmas would also be good too. So thanks so much for your comment and great suggestions in general.
Yeah,
Dante's one
sure.
could be really good. It could be like the what is it? Journey to the Center of the Earth, kind of that kind of style where you're in the depths, underground, and
be a lot of fire.
A lot of fire.
I do appreciate Seagull Stacks being in the top 5. 100%. That is a chef's kiss. One of my favorites. Even though I didn't play it last week.
I was about to say. All right, Sam. So let's talk about the VR news because I really want to talk about Thief VR. So we actually were meant to record this yesterday, but the Thief VR gameplay is just released as of today, which is Tuesday as we're recording this. So we had to wait, and I'm glad we waited because what came out was they showed a gameplay trailer, and which was like a minute and a half, and they showed an extended gameplay reveal, which seemed like just to be one of the missions, maybe the first mission. That was around 8 minutes long. And then they had just some commentary. So they had a few of the content creators who went down to, I believe it was in London where they had this event, and they got to talk about or comment on their experiences playing these, at least that level, but I'm not sure how much they actually got to play. And
I think they got to play 2 levels. I watched Cross Button's video, yeah.
Yeah, shout out to Reese, who's on Cross Button VR, who is in that video as well, which was really cool.
No, that's Reese the King. You're thinking... Oh, right, to Reese.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was like, where are you going here? All right, so we finally got some gameplay from Thief. Samson, just give me some of your initial thoughts on this gameplay trailer that we got.
Dan, there were a few things I thought were quite cool. The putting out of the candles with the fingertips and the mic, and going for extra immersion. You could turn off prompts and like all the points of interest, particularly when doing the lock picking. So like make sounds while you're doing the lock picking, and you can just go by that. I don't think there's any way I do that because I don't think it's any way I successfully unlock a pick, but it might be worth trying. I do wonder, like, I've never played a Thief game. I'm curious if there's like, is it like Hitman where like you try to go, you can do things many different ways, and there might be like achievements or like leaderboards, for like style points or things like this? Or is it more like story based? There's pretty much, there might be a couple ways, but you're like pretty linearly attacking the levels. I don't know. Either way, it could be cool. I do think I like that there's no combat, or like there's combat, but it's very limited. That's more my style, I think.
With these speedruns and such, and leaderboards, I'm not sure. I haven't also played Thief, but there is on speedrun.com, there is Thief leaderboards in there, so the unofficial ones, but I'm not sure in the actual like reboot of the game. I've also not played it, so I couldn't tell you. It's not like Assassin's Creed where I can be like, oh, this is cool because of this. I have no idea. I don't really know much about this game, but what I like and what I saw, Samson, I liked a lot. Few things that I wanted to mention on this. first things first, the way that they are like super focused on immersion, like what you just said, you can turn off the like lock picking. So essentially when you do, there's like these diamond shaped locks that they showed, and you can do the lock pick, and it's a really easy mini game where you essentially rotate your wrist like left, right into the gaps. And yeah, I think you do it like 3 times, and then you can unpick the door. And the cool thing about it is when you turn off the animation, you're just listening to the sounds when you're doing it, which seems really really cool, like really cool. But there's not just that, Samson. There was an area in this trailer where there was a guard behind the door, so they unpicked the lock, and then they were just listening to the guard, and they noticed the guard was close to the door, so they closed the door, but they were still listening, and they could hear the footsteps leave. Then they opened the door and continued, which is really good. It reminds me of when I played Resident Evil 2, and you've got the main bad guy, which for some reason the name's escaping me, and you're always listening out for them. So because you can hear them walking all around, so you're always listening out to see if they're getting closer or not, so you can continue doing the puzzles or getting through the game. And I love that. And just that alone, Samson, makes me want to just play this with headphones. Like I normally don't play with VR headphones.
Do you play with it? Yeah.
No, I don't, because I don't think there's a big deal playing headphones. The speakers are pretty good. But this makes me want to, because it's meant to have good sound design. And it's like something that's baked in, which sounds really cool. So it's like proper immersion. I'm going to turn off everything in terms of all the UI and such, and I'm going to really try and get fully immersed in this world. So that's really cool. And then what you mentioned with the putting out the candles with your fingers, we obviously saw that in like the initial reveal and such, but they mentioned that you blow on the mic on the Quest. So you can blow on the mic to blow the candles out.
Yeah, this is a really cool feature.
Which is really fun. They also mentioned that, it's not, they actually said you're not an assassin, because obviously it does look very much like an Assassin's Creed game. So when you're sneaking up on people, you can hit them with like a bat to put them to sleep and then drag them out, which is really nice. But you want to drag them out into the shadows, kind of like Hitman, because if you see them, then the people will get alerted.
Somebody wake them up. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's also really cool. There is some combat in it. I'm not sure. They didn't go into an in-depth, but you do have a bow and arrow, and one of the arrows is a standard arrow. You also have a fire arrow that I guess you could use as well as an attack as well. But apparently
water arrow.
Yeah, there's water, and also there's like a rope arrow.
Yeah,
as well. But I guess those two, if someone hits you with a water arrow, that's just going to be a splish, just like a water gun hit.
You ruined my clothes. This was my good suit.
Exactly. I was reading the Upload VR hands-on. There's a few people who've had hands-on, like I said, with the content creators and such. But the only one I've read so far, just as we're recording, is the Upload VR one. And Henry Stockdale did it, and he was very positive in his hands-on. And he mentioned with the bow and arrow that there is no aim assist. So even though technically you could use it as combat, you got to be careful with it in terms of you got to be a good shot. Exactly. And you've not got too many of the arrows as well in terms of the regular ones, it seems. So yeah, you got to be good at that. So proceed in caution. Yeah, and then there's other things just to mention in there. The developer, whoever was narrating it, said that the levels are quite open, so you can go in different paths. On the gameplay one that they showed, it seemed like there was only like a couple different ways, but I'm assuming that's like early on tutorial kind of level, and the rest of them are going to be more open, so you can decide to, I don't know, go around, maybe kill all the guards, or not kill, but put all the guards to sleep and then
move them out of the way.
Or you could try and just super stealth it and try and just avoid the guards, which I feel like avoiding the guards with the immersion is going to be really, really good and really fun to do. And maybe you'll have to hit one or two guards now and again, but trying to weave past them, hitting your water arrow against the flames, so then it's shadowed and you can hide in the shadows and lurk in the shadows and such. Really cool. And of course, you're a thief, so you can steal.
All right, Dan. So now that we've seen this, and we've seen a lot of Reach, and we've seen some Arcanage.
Mm-hmm.
Where now and
Deadpool as well.
Deadpool, and where now does have things moved around excitement wise? I forget what you had said you're most excited for, honestly, but
I think I was most excited about Reach because it seems like it's very different in terms of its traversal, and I'm really intrigued to see how it does. And I'm trusting End Dreams in terms of what they've put out in the past. I think out of all of them, I can tell you what I'm least actually excited for Deadpool. Out of all of them, to be honest with you, I'm excited to play it for sure. Don't get me wrong, but the other ones just feel like more of my kind of games, more of play style. It feels like Deadpool would be fun, but the other ones for sure. It's a toss up. Honestly, Samson, it's a toss up. This trailer really got me hyped on it because it seems like I can go. I love playing the VR games where I could just be fully immersed, and it's like Medal of Honor. That's why I really love it, because I got really into it and I was just pretending that I was there, and I was using cover around my house, and it was so silly and fun, and that's what VR is all about, right? And so so exactly, going prone. I feel like Thief. I'll be crawling around, just to try and get behind things and such. So it's a toss up. It really is. It's a toss up. We will have like a hands on with Arcanage soon as well, like for the podcast. So we'll be able to discuss a little bit when it comes to the first 3 levels. So maybe things will change after we've played that and had an early impressions on it for sure. But it's a toss up. I'll still say Reach is I'll still keep to Reach, Arcanage, Thief, and Deadpool as my current list. But it's a toss up. As a toss up. I'm just excited. Sounds I'm just excited. How about you? What would you say in your 4?
It's exciting. This time of year always gets exciting. There's always so many good games, and ones under the radar too that have been great. This one definitely, I like seeing the gameplay, and it sold me on this one. I'm pretty excited, especially. Like, I tend to get overwhelmed. Like in Batman, there's too many things I can use, right? Like, what am I doing? What am I doing? Whereas Thief, it seems like you got tools, but like never to like an overwhelming degree, because you're only really ever meant to be tops taking on one person, right? Yeah. So I love this one. Really snuck up on me.
You couldn't help yourself, could you?
Yeah. That's how I actually wanted to start, but I'm feeling under the weather, so my puns are 5 minutes late. What can you do? But this one, I hope it's like, I'm the level based. Like, I like you can hop in, do a level, knock it out, take a break, or maybe I'll do a second level, and it looks fun, it looks good. A lot of things to interact with, like throw and distract people. It just looks really VR. So let me get to your question, Dan.
As you think.
Thief might have moved all the way up. Yeah. It's like between Thief and Reach. I'd say Deadpool third, and then Arcan. No, Deadpool last. I agree. And
I just love the fact that you could play Arcanage right now if you wanted to, because you have it on the PSVR too.
Well, it's below these others, and I've already committed to waiting till you can start.
Yeah, you have committed. With what you said though,
I have started it though, and then I was like, not yet.
Yeah, with what you said though, in terms of how with Batman there's lots of tools going on, and it can get a bit overwhelming, and so especially when you've not played the game for a while and then you're getting back into it and you're like, I gotta remember all of this stuff, and it's sometimes easier to just start from fresh again. They definitely thought about this, because that's why the bow and arrow is such a big thing. The bow and arrow seems to have the utility belt, and it's using a bow and arrow is more fun, because a bow and arrow is so much fun in VR in general. Any motion control game, I remember back on the Wii, the bow and arrow is always fun to do. So that's one great thing about it. But second thing, all of the different arrows serve different purposes, and that's kind of your utility belt that you're going to kind of rotate through. Unless there's other things that they haven't shown us yet. But the only other things is nothing to do with like tools. It's more about when you're sneaking around, you could loot and you can, take things off people, or if let's say if they had a key card or something, just making something up and you can just snag it from them as they're walking and such, right? Those kind of things.
Yeah, I'm picturing a key card now in like medieval times.
Yeah, that's why I said it, and I was like, that can't be right, but we'll go with it anyway. Everyone gets the idea. But they've consolidated all the Batman toolkit, shall we say, into the bow and arrow. And it seems like Reach has done the same thing as well with their arrow system. We don't really know yet because we haven't had hands on and we haven't really tried it. But just looking on the trailers, the bow and arrow once again seems to be a big thing because they have different abilities for the bow and arrow in Reach as well. So it could be another thing that we translate from Thief and Reach. It could be a similar thing. Interesting thing, just a couple of things just to round off this little news section here. Henry on Upload VR did say that he noticed quite a few bugs and glitches in the PSVR2 version, which is the only version that they played. And he did mention that he wonders if it's going to be delayed. Now, he wrote this like a month ago or earlier this month when he did have the hands-on, and it only just obviously came out now for embargo. But I wrote down in our script that we finally get to see Thief VR and get a release date. Now, I wrote that yesterday when we were preparing for it. We never got a release date. It's still due out for later this year in 2025. That's really surprising considering it's basically October now and we've not got a release date, which might mean that there is probably quite a few bugs and glitches that they need to iron out, and they're not quite sure 100% what that's going to be yet. So they're just saying 2025 for now, so they don't have to like push it too much. Maybe they have they must have an internal date in there. Maybe internally for November, since October is now stacked with Reach and Arcane Age. November has Deadpool around November 16th, around that time.
I mean, so you want it at least by like first week of December, right? To hit that holiday. Yeah.
So if Thief comes out at end of November or beginning of December, that should be absolutely fine. And that's a nice little staggered release. Too. I'd be okay. I just want it to be before the Christmas break because it's always a really good excuse to go play all these games. And so,
January, February, March, usually a pretty dry time.
True, so. That's true as well. That's true. I'd be sad if it's not until February. If it's February, I know it's always good for delays because it helps them, and I'd rather that than like a buggy game for sure. But I'd be sad because I'd be like, this is one that I really want to play along with all the other ones. We're going to be eating well.
I wonder how long this one is. I get the sense it's probably, if I had to guess, it would be the shortest of the four. Though, yeah.
Deadpool could be as well. I mean, Arcane Age, we should know how long that is. I'm going to find out now.
I mean, it's my sense that it took people around 10 to 12 hours.
12 hours, yeah. Roughly 12 hours, Arcane Age. Still on sale on Steam, by the way, 40% off. If you can't wait and you want, I guess, a better looking version of it anyway, go ahead and get the Steam version if you can. But yeah, it seems like completionist 18 hours, but yeah, it looks like 12 to 13 hours for Arcane Age. So we know that already. I hope
Thief fits in the 8 to 10.
Thief's reboot, the 2014 reboot, was also 11 hours, around that. 11 to 20 hours, depending on the sides, but like 11 hours to do the main story. I don't think we can read too much into that, though, because we're different mediums here, but... Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I hope it's. I think it will be like probably like 8 to 10 hours or something. I got a feeling it would be like Assassin's Creed.
That's what my gut says too.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
we don't have the foresight, but we might have the forefront.
You're awful. Yes, that's our Thief VR gameplay. Let us know if you are excited for that in the comments, as Samson just alluded there. Forefront open beta, that's our next news story. The open beta is coming soon, October 9th to 20th, which is really exciting, and it includes Quest 2 users and Steam VR users as well. So basically, they're gearing up for their early access launch later this year. It's probably going to come real soon after this beta, to be honest. It could be as soon as like early November. where they'll come out with their early access build of it. But there's no details on how to sign up for the beta yet, but they do say join the Discord and they'll show the details, and most likely you'll sign up through there because that's how you had to do it for the alpha.
I imagine it's similar.
They said that there's a ton of bug fixes. They've obviously improved the weapon balance, all the stuff that basically people said during the alpha. They've kind of addressed most of it. And obviously it seems like these betas will be less to do with the bugs, but more to do with just general servers and player count. Yeah, and such. So
I mean, there were times where there were framed drops and things of the like, and I wonder how this will run on the Quest 2, like very much. I mean, because we were on the Quest 3 in that. So yeah, I'm very curious how they got this running. Like there was and like when you would drive on the 4-wheeler or whatever, there was some ghosting, things like this. But very exciting. They hit in it's a holiday weekend in Massachusetts that weekend at least. They call it the
Columbus.
I guess they used to call it Columbus Day. Yeah, and
Canadian Thanksgiving as well.
Oh, there you have it. So they're hitting a few holidays here in North America for that start of it, and pretty excited. You get almost a week and a half, pretty much, of some Forefront, and I imagine I'll definitely be hopping in.
Hilarious timing because Battlefield 6 on the flat screens comes out that I'm pretty sure it's that day or the day after October 10th. So that's
different target market.
Different target market, very similar game, which is going to be really fun either way. So yeah, I'll definitely hop in too. I hopped into the alpha and died all the time and just couldn't get used to it. But I think it's one of those games that just requires a lot of practice just to get.
You also, I mean, I should look up sort of the battlefield strategy, right? Because you don't want to just keep everybody having run to the same places and all that. You kind of need some strategy, Dan, if you're playing a decent opponent in this game. I'm finding because a few of the games I got spanked.
That's why you have different classes, right? And you want to stick to those classes. You can't be a medic and then go straight in.
I want to play.
Who do you want to play? How do you want to play?
I actually enjoyed the medic the most.
What's your play style?
The medic and the assault.
Would you like to run and gun? Is that what you're going for?
No, I like to support, give people ammo, give people health. Running around and reviving people is very fun. Yeah. And those two classes give you kind of a decent assault rifle, so you can kind of shoot. You're good from like mid to close range.
Yeah. I used to, when I was playing Battlefield in the heyday, Battlefield 4, assault and the medic used to be my two as well. I didn't want to play as the engineer because I didn't really care about fixing up vehicles. And then I'm never good at a sniper. Like I've never been good at this. I'm never good at just sitting back, holding, and the sniping. Even though I did play more of that during the Forefront Alpha, just because I found it a little bit easier to deal with than always going into it.
Okay, but, I heard that the sniping in the Alpha, I didn't even try it, but I heard it was not the scope was kind of awkward.
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree with you there, but like I sucked at assault, so I ended up maybe hanging back felt a little bit easier for me.
Yeah, and then sometimes when the enemies got their helicopters out, somebody has to pick anti-air, and nobody seems ever wanted to do that.
Rocket launcher as well, I think, as the second. I'm pretty sure they have.
Somebody had a rocket launcher.
Someone had this as the second one. Anyway, that's the Forefront open beta. I'm excited. It's fun to see this. I played only a little bit of the alpha, and it was very bare bones, but I could see what they were doing. So it's very interesting to see what state it's going to be like at the beta. But this game is really going to be a game that hopefully, will start to thrive later on, like in a year's time, once they have more players, once they iron it out. And look how good Breaches looks.
Did you see the map? The map's all in the snow. That's sort of my most excited, like what I'm most excited for is a new map.
Actually, I didn't realize there was a new map.
Yeah. I'm
very
nearly
cool.
certain, or maybe they just mentioned
No,
it.
you're
I'm
right.
pretty
You're right.
in a
No, you're
screenshot.
right.
Yeah,
I missed that. It's in the trailer. Yeah, I did not watch the trailer. I just saw the article and such. So, and the article does not have the snow map on the picture. So yeah, I
gotcha.
didn't notice it. That's really cool. Really cool. Speaking of new maps, Samson, Walkabout.
Nice.
Yeah, there we go.
Good segue.
Walkabout's next course has been revealed. I'm a little sad that Lucas didn't just tell us, to be honest, since we had him on the show. But alas,
He's got to keep those lips sealed. Come on.
he does. And funny, like when we released the pod, I think like the day after or the day of, they released this little tease. And essentially, it was like someone was on a camera and there was a fence, and behind the fence on the lamppost was a opening soon, new mini golf course. Hop the fence, but don't linger long. Putt your ball gently down the greens, scarily, creepily, spookily, and eerily through the haunted scenes. And then a picture of like a swan ride.
Like at one, yeah. One you'd ride, yeah.
Yeah. So that's what we saw, and that's what we were going to talk about, but they have actually unveiled it properly now, and it's going to be called Walkabout Mini Golf's Forgotten Fairyland. And Samson, just looking at the poster, we're going to an amusement park.
It's got some good colors. It kind of makes me excited. I'm not sure if we're looking at I imagine it's the night mode. I'm not sure. See, Dan, this is why I didn't want to hop in, so I can really just take it all in from the picture. We got like a Ferris wheel back there. We got a castle. I see the swan. Dan, I'm excited for this one because a haunted carnival is pretty genius, and there's so many different like little trinkets and little things that you can have. I'm excited.
Yeah,
just as always.
They say just off a lonely highway lies the ruins of Fairyland amusement park. Once full of childhood joy, it now sits in an eerie decay, yet something stirs within. So there might be ghosts.
Do you like the night mode with the
with the doll
with
potentially?
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the poster here, and I can see a one-eyed monster with like teeth, and then a hole just below it. Which maybe seems that you got to put through that to get down to the hole. I also see the ride with the swans, and there's a hole in there. So maybe there's a ride in there that you can, I don't know. There's a Ferris wheel. There's one of those things. You remember those like big towers, and you jump on a sack, and then you go all the way around down the tower. You never did that before. That's just in front of the Ferris wheel.
No, I don't know that I've been on the sack tower, but I do see it here.
There's roller coasters in here too, but it looks like a carnival more than like an actual amusement park. Actually,
yeah,
because I see tents and
like a moving carnival.
Yeah. Exactly, that's what it looks like. There is some text down there too. Anyway, we could look at this as deeply as we. Oh, there's the text says ski ball. Yeah, so there's a ski ball.
Love some ski ball.
Yeah, it seems like it's more of a carnival than like an actual amusement park. But yeah, that comes out, Samson, next week.
Crazy soon.
October 9th that comes out. So that's very exciting. We'll have
and we
that
know
to play.
The other one's in December, right?
Alice in Wonderland, yeah.
Did they say December? Okay.
Yeah. So
we still have potential in November.
They said Alice in Wonderland's their 37th course. And this is their 36th course because their 35th was. So that means maybe there's no course until Alice in Wonderland.
No. Unless it's not a new course. That was the whole point.
Oh, yeah. Right. Where we're getting the Seagull Stacks remaster. That's what we're getting. I'm pretty confident with that prediction, to be honest. So, yeah, we'll have a full review next week. We'll be able to play it a little bit early and then give you a full review next week. As reminds me, as always, hopefully the Patreons are used to this, but any new Patreons, if you're on the early access, which is $5 or more, this will be out a little bit later in the day due to the embargo, which I think it's around 10 a.m. Eastern time, or no, 1 p.m. Eastern time.
I was going to say, I thought it's
Pacific, 1, 5 p.m. UK. It's around that time, so the podcast will come out for early access around at the same time as that, due to the embargo. But very excited. Very excited.
Very.
Samson. I actually wasn't expecting a call so soon. I was maybe later on in October, but I wasn't. When they did the tease, I was thinking it's going to come out more towards Halloween, but for next week, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, especially since we talked to him last week. Threw me off.
Yeah. All right, Samson, that is the VR news. Let's get into what we've been playing before our interview with the Pedal Rebel VR developer, Toaster Face Games. We'll talk about that later. Samson, do you want to start here? You've got quite a few games that you seem to want to talk about.
Yeah, I've got a few. I don't know that I have the voice for it, but I got a few games.
Try your best.
So first up, got into some Angry Birds VR. You know what Angry Birds VR, Dan?
I've never played it, to be honest.
Really? It is exactly what you would think. You take the phone app, and actually in the Quest 3 now, they have mixed reality, so it sort of takes place on a little island that you can make bigger or smaller, and you can move it around.
Yeah.
And you can twist it around. And then so you can kind of attack the pigs from any angle, if you will. And same strategy of trying to get 3 stars. And I just needed to kill a few minutes. I was like, you know what? I'm going to break out some Angry Birds here.
Yeah.
And that's what I did.
If you have it ready to go.
You know what it was? It was I had started to play Cubism. And as you know, well, on volume 1, I'm on all the expert, but I realized I booted up the volume 2 and I was like, ooh, I've got a few hards to knock out.
Nice.
And I knocked out 1 or 2 hard puzzle solutions, and then I needed a break, a little palate cleanse, if you will. And that's why I got Angry Birds, or got into it.
Nice.
Do you want to mix in one of yours?
Yeah, go on. Okay, so Samson, my weekend was golf themed. The Ryder Cup was on, Europe versus your country of USA. And the first 2 days, Europe absolutely destroyed USA. And then the last day was crazy. Sunday, every player was against every player. So basically, if you don't watch the Ryder Cup, you have, I want to say, there was like 8 players per team that were playing. I could be wrong. There might be more than that. And they were all playing each other. So there was just like 1v1, 1v1. There was match play. So whoever wins the hole, whoever gets a better score in the one hole wins the hole. We move on to the next. Doesn't matter what score you hit. Whoever wins the hole moves on. Anyway, it was crazy because Europe were up by like 10 points, 9 points, 10 points. And no one's ever come back from a big score line like that for decades, shall we say.
Never count out in America.
The Americans came back, and it was amazing to watch, to be honest. It was just like top tier golf all around. I had a great time. I could not walk away from the TV. I was just going to throw it on whilst I was doing some stuff because I was like, Europe have won this. It's already game over. And I could not look away from the TV. It was so good. And Samson, I had some VR games to play. And I couldn't look away, which is very difficult when it comes to VR because a lot of games you have to look away to play the VR games. However, I downloaded Banners and Bastions, just as you mentioned. And my gosh, Samson, what a beautiful, beautiful game. You were completely right with this one.
Yeah.
I sat on the couch and I had my little game of Banners Bastions right in front of me on my lap, where my TV just a little off center, and I could watch the Ryder Cup pretty much perfectly fine. Yes, it's not in 4K, but I can see exactly what's happening, and I can enjoy the golf. I watched pretty much like 2 hours of the golf, per se, or like an hour and a half, watching it through the headset as I was playing some Banners and Bastions. And then I got stuck, and then I took it off, and then I came back to it and such.
Did you get stuck on the same one as me?
I got stuck on 6 or 7.
Okay.
Level 6 or 7, around that one. And I kept coming back to it, and I was like, you know what, I can't figure this out.
Just gotta move them around. Keep moving them.
That's what I realized. You got to keep moving them around. So I had a great time watching the golf. Europe did win just at the end there. Because they only needed like 2 points, so they only need 2 victories. So they just won, but my gosh, the Americans did great. Anyway, back to Banners and Bastions. Fantastic game. It's so like charming, and it's beautiful art style. It looks fantastic in mixed reality. Like there's no issues with the quality whatsoever when you're playing in mixed reality, like some games do. deteriorating quality. It's a very simple tower defense game, and let's say one of the levels you shows you where the enemy is going to come. So then you have like a choice of 3 cards, and you get to pick one of the cards, say archery, and you can get a army of archers, like 6 of them, 8 of them, or something like that, and you can put them into little spots around the map and such. And then once you've selected one, you have to play. The enemy comes in, and you can move the people around, which I realized is a big thing that you need to do much later on, to be honest. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And then every single wave, there's some of the waves are like, you got 9 waves, some of them are 6. It just depends on the level. And there's a good variety of people too. You've got archery, you've got regular swordsman, you've got a tower which shoots arrows, and then the tower is really handy because it's like defense as well, because the enemy has to knock the tower before they can knock your main castle down. You've also got like a fence that you could put up. There's some like poison ivy or like weeds or something that will slow the enemy down. I like
the thorns.
One. The thorns, that's it. I like that one quite a lot because that's really handy. I've got the heavy infantry and the knights. Yeah, I've got the knights and
the long swordsman or something like that.
I've got the long swordsmans, yeah, exactly as well, which is really cool. There's still like 3 or 4 enemy, player types that I am.
Yeah, there's a catapult one, and then there's like super archers or something like that.
Yeah, I haven't got those yet, but the cool thing about it is that you get coins, and then you can use that with the cards. So you have like a specific coin. So like the tower's worth 3 coins, and maybe I only have 2, so I can't actually play it right now. So I can choose to put in more, or I could choose to just continue and just save up my coins if I wanted to, which is quite hard to do right now, to be honest with you.
Oh, and you get later on, maybe there's a farm that gets you 1 more coin.
Yeah,
and in like there's like things you can upgrade for
the upgrade tree.
Yeah, the upgrade tree, and one of those things is like you're more likely to get an extra coin after the round or something like that.
Yeah, the upgrade tree is really cool because there's so much different playstyle you can go. So I think most of the upgrades I've done is to upgrade the middle one, which is pretty much your base and such. So now if they get close to it, knights like appear as well for like last part of attack. So yeah, I've got, which has helped sometimes where like they've got all the way to the end, they have no one left yet, then the knights come in out of nowhere, they automatically spawn. I've also got the fireballs where I can do 2 fireballs rather than 1, which is so the enemy comes and you can just pinch a fireball and drop it on them, which is really fun. And then you have like some 4 super soldiers, which are like maniacs that you can add in at any time, basically. But all to say, I mean, I've only done, I guess, 7 levels or so, or 6 or 7, and then I got stuck, and I tried a couple of times and I couldn't get it, and I was like, okay. But I don't. Is it the only map that you can play, or is there more?
No, map changes. Yeah, I think each world is a new what do they call it, biome.
I was thinking so, but I haven't got to the next world yet, is what I'm trying to say. But I will play more of it because it's really good, and it's a great one just to like throw on some TV. We've got playoff baseball. The Blue Jays made it this weekend, and you got those tickets are so expensive to go. Even though the stadium's down the road from me, the tickets are so expensive. I will be sat on the couch playing some Banners and Bastions while watching. At least
it's not blacked out. There you go.
Yeah, not blacked out here. But that's me. Back to you, Samson.
Well, I got more into Masternoid. By the way, Masternoid has a free demo on Quest for anybody interested. I've been playing on PSVR2 mostly, but I do kind of want to pick it up on Quest. A few nuggets, though, Dan. It's a brick breaker. It's a brick breaker style game. Mm-hmm. So you have a gun with a little ball on the end, and you shoot it, and then you've got bricks on the other side that come each level. They're in a new shape, and you can get power-ups like burn, more balls, magnet to get all more of the multipliers, things of the sort. From their website, though, Dan, it says, experience the captivating world of an arcade reborn and embrace the meditative power of coordinated voxel explosions. And Dan, I zone out when I play this, and the music is like a techno dance beat, but it's you just lock in. You just lock in, and you're like, yeah, I feel this.
Yeah.
Oh man, I feel this music. These balls are all mine.
Yeah, the balls are all yours. Yes.
Master the art of destruction in a place where your trusted energy blaster is your only friend. And then skillfully juggle and control multiple ultrasonic balls with a great finesse and precision. So you can get up to 4 balls. And I've yet to finish the level. You get a trophy for finishing the level with all 4. And it's tough. It is tough.
Damn.
So the game is developed by a small team of 3 people. However, they do come with a wealth of experience, both flat and VR. Some of them worked on Ollie Ollie, which you've talked fondly of.
And I actually know someone from there. I want just quick segue really quickly. Once upon a time, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do after university because I realized I didn't really want to do engineering. Thinking about moving to Canada, but also thinking I really like video games and I wanted to be a video game producer. So then I reached out to a bunch of studios, and one of them was Roll7, who are no longer. I think they just got. I don't think they're around anymore. But they make Ollie Ollie. And there's a guy called Tom Hegarty. And I messaged him, and he was really nice about it and such and all sorts. And then I met a couple of them at like a PAX East equivalent in London, basically.
Wow.
I got really interested, and then I got kind of put off a little bit by the nature of the video game producer as well as the industry and such. And then I decided to actually to move to Canada. So that's why I've kind of mentioned it a few times because, that could have been a completely different path.
Yeah.
But they closed down in 2024. Take-Two owned them at some point. They took over them, who do GTA and such with Rockstar. And they closed down, unfortunately, in 2024. So it might have been some of them who obviously closed down and now they've made this.
Well, yes, perhaps. And they've also worked on some VR titles such as PlayStation VR's VR World and Blood and Truth. So it's a very simple game, but it feels like everything feels exactly as it should. It feels good. It runs well. Everything is so clear. Oh man, on the OLED panels on the PlayStation, magnificent. Nice. You're in like a black void mostly.
Nice.
And Masternoid. If you want, I really do like these like simple hop in, hop out games. Angry Birds, Cubism, Masternoid. I also got into Trombone Champ a little. But yeah, Masternoid, highly recommend if just give it a try. It's a free demo. What's the word? What do you have to lose?
What's the worst that can happen?
Exactly. So I mentioned I got into Trombone Champ. Dan, it's starting to, I'm not going to lie, I've slowed down on my pursuit of toots, and I be tooting real slowly. I need some beans in my life.
Correct.
But really, I feel like I go through lulls because I just get sick of playing the songs, and I don't really put too many custom songs on because I like the songs in there. Yeah. But then I just go a few months and then play them to death and then stop and then play them to death, etc. But Trombone Champ, if you want silly, fun tromboning, there's so many songs. There's a plethora of custom tracks, easy to put on. Highly recommend Trombone Champ. It is a silly good time.
Silly good time. Beautiful.
Last one, Dan.
Go.
Because I said I've been going retro. I've now got my PlayStation VR in this office here. So I can now play it whenever I want, even if people are on any other TV in the house.
Great
I
idea.
can still. So I've been playing Wipeout. And what I realized is I had to start over and it didn't have cloud saves with my PS5 one. So I've started again, but it's okay. Wipeout is amazing in VR. Just so much speed. The playing in first person. In fact, I went retro because I got the PS3 a few weeks ago, and I got the original Wipeout, and it automatically puts you in first person. And I was like, oh yeah, this. I like this. You feel the speed, but you really feel the speed in VR. And it almost makes it easier because sometimes, or for some parts, because you'll be racing and you'll have to go up and down, right? Or the track will go up and down, and or side to side, and you can kind of see ahead because you can see through your cockpit in an angle that you would never be able to do, like if playing flat. I don't know if I described it well.
I think I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I think I know what you're saying. Your
You
point of view
can
is very
see more.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've got it's kind of like when you're playing Gran Turismo a little bit as well. As
100%.
Yeah.
Except there's a third dimension because you don't really,
true.
you know, do loop-de-loops in Gran Turismo.
No.
But yeah, that about sums it up. Been having a great time. And I did this in VR, so I guess I'll mention it. But I watched Mad Max in 3D, also on my PlayStation VR1.
Oh, cool. How did you watch it? Did you just
the
watch
Blu-ray?
The Blu-ray. Oh, sick.
Pop that sucker right into that PS4 and boom.
And then you watched it in the headset. And the 3D worked really well and such.
Yeah, it's not like too much.
Yeah.
I do wish it was like you could do more like skybox, like move. All you can basically do is move the screen size doesn't change, but you can just recenter yourself, so you can kind of put it where you want in a way. But it's good enough for sure. The resolution's obviously not the best, but that didn't really affect me too much during the movie.
I do find the PSVR1 really comfortable,
and it's pretty comfy.
Yeah,
you don't have to worry about batteries or anything.
No, it's actually I can see what you're saying.
I think it might be the best way to take in your 3D Blu-rays, because who has a 3D TV these days?
Right.
Not and very many people.
Who owns 3D Blu-rays as well? Not many people, but when you do.
Yeah, well, so now when I go to like the retro store, I bought Up for $4 and I bought Immortals 3D for $5. So
why not?
So now I'm gonna start watching these Blu-rays if I find them cheap enough.
Yeah.
But there you have it.
Nice.
And why did they take away 3D DVD playback on PS5, Dan? Why?
Samson, I don't know. Why did they not even support the VR platform properly? Who's to say?
Well, they did, and now they've. It really sounds like that money's dried up.
Yeah. Because they've announced Flight Simulator though with VR support, which is cool.
But I do not think that they had any part. They did not pay for that. I don't think.
Yeah, I think so. I guess real quick, Samson, last one, because I was talking about golf. I did jump into Golf Plus as well. Haven't jumped into Golf Plus for ages, but the reason why I did is they had a Ryder Cup themed. They had the Bethpage, which is the course that they played at, and they made it Ryder Cup themed. So I jumped into it. The courses are pricey, but they make sense if you think about all the licensing and such. Yeah, I think with the Canadian dollars it feels worse, but I signed up to their subscription, so it was like less than that, and it was like
I was gonna say, just do that for a month.
Yeah, and so I got to play. I just played that one, the Bethpage one, but it was cool because they had the crowd in there, and the crowd react to your shots as well. So if the shots are bad, they and all that stuff. Cool. Yeah, it was good. It was a good time. It's every time I jump into Golf Plus, I always forget how good and well done this game is. It's really fun to play, especially if you want to play some like real golf. In there, it's very different to Walkabout.
It's gonna throw you off,
yeah, throws me off, especially with the putting. The putting's much harder, more like realistic as well with the greens and how fast they are and such. My drives could do with a bit of work, to be quite honest with you. But overall, a really, really fun time. It's, if you're interested, Golf Plus is definitely by far the best real golf game on there by far. So. Especially with all the licenses now, with all the different courses, they have loads. They have way more than I realized.
I stopped buying them many, many months ago just because they started to hit the Walkabout Pay, except they're not $4.
No, but they're like fully licensed courses, and like they have St. Andrews in there, Sawgrass. They have like all of the big. This obviously need a lot more, but they still got a lot of the big courses in there.
It's got really all the courses I could ever want.
Yeah, really, really fun to play. So that's Golf Plus. Just had a good time, just keeping up with the golfing weekend. I could have gone outside to play real golf, but I decided not to. I just played virtual golf and watched it, but I had a good time. Anyway, that'll do, Samson, for our, as normal, almost an hour part one, as we always tend to do, even though we didn't intend to do an hour part one.
Nailed it.
Here we are. In part two, we have the developer for Pedal Rebel VR, which is going to be a fun chat about this really unique game where it makes you want to move your legs really quickly. with the control.
Good description. Leave it at that.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you in part two. Enjoy the interview.
Hey, we know public lobbies in VR games can be a bit toxic, feel a bit empty at times. That's why we created the Let's Talk Oculus Discord, a friendly community that you can join for multiplayer meetups, general VR chat, the game, and chat about VR, fitness motivation, and there's even a very impressive 3D printing channel. Join over 100 of our community members in the Let's Talk Oculus Discord for free. The link is right in the description.
All right, welcome back to part two of LTO 206, and we are joined by Jono from Toaster Face Games, better known as the developer behind Pedal Rebel VR. Jono, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me, guys. I'm really excited to chat to you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And this game, Samson hasn't shut up about it, to be honest with you. He brought it up on the show recently, and then even we have a few people in the Discord. We have DMAX, shout out to DMAX in Discord, who's loving this game as well. And we've got a question from him a little bit later on. Before we get into, obviously, Pedal Rebel VR, I just want to ask about Toaster Face Games itself. Like, first of all, what a great name. For a studio. What is like what's where did the name come from for a start, and what is the like inspiration behind like creating this studio? Like, do you have like a mission statement or anything? Yeah, go on.
Yeah, naming stuff is hard.
Right.
And like especially in the fitness space and the gaming space and stuff like that, it's really hard to find a good name. I brute forced a bunch of names for ages and ages. I wanted to do a rebrand for like a fitness thing, and even all the bad names are gone. That's what's really annoying, is you go like, like this name's okay. I'll just check if the URL exists, and it's like $25,000. You're like, no. No, I've needed a studio name for ages. Wanted something fun and playful, and then like through showing off my game and expoing all the time, I'm constantly talking about, this beginnings of VR and what it was like putting on a DK1 or original Vive. And I said, I remember saying in conversation that like, yeah, I mean, God, old VR was like putting a toaster on your face. It was hot. It'd leave red marks all over your face. And then eventually I went, actually, you know what?
That's it. That's a great idea, yeah. Because even your logo is basically someone with a toaster face, and it's kind of like that meme where you have the mask and they're smiling, but behind the mask they're crying in a way. And you've got this
totally, and that's sort of the fun part. Is I wanted it almost that like Ren and Stimpy style of like the guy behind the mask is like freaking out and his face is all pulled back, right. And then the headset looks more like BMO and is like all happy and cheery. So my mother actually made me a real life plushy version of the toaster face.
This is really cool. For the video watchers, you can see it.
Yeah, it's actually perfect because it's right behind your shoulder, so it won't be cropped out. So it'll be it's actually perfect.
What is your history with gaming? Like, because to make a dev studio, I feel like you got to be in.
Yeah, definitely. So it's kind of funny though. Actually, my origin story would be that my mum and dad actually had an NES even before I was born, and they used to actually call in sick for each other from work so that they could finish the original Zelda.
That's awesome.
So I've got the original invoice. I've got the original instruction booklet with their like pen drawings of filling in the map and everything of like our original NES. We had the zapper and the robot and everything. I actually pulled it out for my 35th birthday, and we had a retro gaming night with all of my friends' kids, and none of them wanted their iPad all night. Literally, we managed to like keep their like interest. And funnily enough, like sort of is like woven into my origin story is that we had the full dance map. And there's a game called Athletic World where you have to run on the spot and jump and hop and things like that in order to like get across this racetrack before the turtle at the bottom of the screen.
That was on the NES?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
wow.
super cool.
I didn't
It still
realize they had
works.
that on an
That's
NES.
Yeah,
wild.
it's great. I pulled it out when like we were teenagers, and like also again when we were like first started drinking, things like that, and like got videos on my terrible flip phone of my friends just like collapsing, not being able to finish it on hard mode. It's like,
That's pretty cool.
I have to
so
ask
yeah,
then,
it sort of all ties in.
does that mean you have CRT TVs around? Because that's something I'm realizing. I recently got a PS3 and I got some PS1 classics on it, and I was playing them on the TV, like the HD TV, and I was like, this needs a better solution.
Yeah, for sure. Like, especially because the Zapper only works with a CRT, right? So I don't have one at the moment, but yeah, it is always better on a CRT.
Yeah, fair enough. Just when you just said they're obviously taking your parents was being sick to like play Zelda and such, like taking sick days and such. I just realized the NES you couldn't save, right? Like you couldn't save your progress in the NES.
Zelda, you could.
Zelda, you
Metroid
could.
in the US, you couldn't, and there was only a couple of games that you could.
Certain cartridges.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
I think they put a battery in, or something.
Yeah, they actually need a battery in them.
I see.
Similar to Game Boy, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. And then how did you get into development, game development in particular, and then leading up to VR? Like, what was your timeline in that?
Yeah, so it was funny. Like I was just a techie kid, and I had a computer from a young age. Originally like DOS, and then I eventually we had like Windows 98. I grabbed all of the freeware. I would play demos. I would we started getting dial-up internet and things like that. And for ages, I was always drawing as a kid. Flip book animating, all that kind of stuff. I tried making animations in PowerPoint. Like there's all these things that just didn't have access to the software that we have today, right? And I remember Googling for like hours and hours, like how do you make games? Like what is the game software out there? And ages, and I must have used every thesaurus like combination of words trying to find this software until eventually it turns out the answer was Game Maker. And we ended up doing a bit of Game Maker in high school. And meanwhile, the other kids in the class were just, they might be just reskinning like Pac-Man or something, or, making a platformer. Me and my mates had made a 3D Quake level FPS. One of my mates had actually found a loophole because of our IT department's, network security. We'd found a bit of a loophole, and we'd made our own networked FPS that worked on the school's network because all the other games were blocked. So yeah, we Googled a bunch of stuff and were making things. So I made like a top-down game very similar to the eventual Hotline Miami. Way beforehand, I'd made a top-down shooter very similar, but it was like you were a soldier that got shrunk down and put into a computer, and you were like an antivirus and like things like that. So was into that. And then went to uni for multimedia. It was kind of an interesting time in Australia for the games industry. And so it didn't seem like a realistic goal at the time to get into game development. The sort of indie wave hadn't really happened. A bunch of big studios had just closed down and left Australia. 2K, Rockstar, Ratbag, a bunch of them had all closed down. So I went into multimedia thinking I would get into app development, web development, and more media side of things. I've always had a lot of media skills. And then a lot of the fundamental courses were all the same across those two courses anyway. And then, years later, Melbourne starts blowing up. We start getting some amazing games coming out of Australia. And then especially out of Adelaide as well, which is where I'm from. Just recently been in the spotlight quite a lot because of Silksong. So started to become more and more of a reality. My friend pulls out his Dev Kit 1 and his Razer Hydra, and we try out a few things, and I go, oh, wow, okay, like VR is next level. I got to get in on this.
Nice. And then here you are with your own studio creating Pedal Rebel VR. I guess this is a good segue, Samson, right?
What? Yes, but also, what were your like first VR games, or like what really like locked you in, and then follow up of what are your current like? If you, I know a lot of devs don't find a lot of time to play VR games, or it kind of feels like work. But what have you found time for lately? Yeah.
Yeah, so when we first pulled out the dev kit, we tried obviously the original Tuscany demo, and then we tried playing a bit of Left 4 Dead or TF2 in the headset. That made us sick. That wasn't good at
I was
all.
about to say.
the visuals were just not good enough back then. And so at first, like we were brainstorming a bunch of things that, like, okay, well, what games can you play with just your head, because the hand controller thing wasn't a solved issue. Then we had a Vive at the uni when I basically pivoted completely into media and started running the TV studio there. And then we had a Vive in the TV studio, which was great. So after the show, I'd kick everybody out, I'd lock the door, and I'd stay and I'd play Vive for like hours and hours.
That's awesome.
Got way into Space Planet Trainer, Gorn, Super Hot, all that kind of stuff. And just really, I kind of tried to consume as much VR as possible and try to see what was going on. And then that 2016 time, there was such a good wave of games, but then it sort of stopped. And there was a bit of a lull, and I was like, oh, okay, well, what's next? Like, what's next? And so then I started experimenting with adding physical objects into VR. I made a bow and arrow out of 2 broken ice hockey sticks, and started playing Hollow Point with it to the point where the next day I couldn't even lift my arm because I was holding this thing up above my head for so long and didn't realize it because the game was so engaging. I've kind of ignored my body signs of like, hey, maybe you should take a break. And so that's sort of where it all started. Lately, I've been playing, like you said, like I don't have that much time to play VR at the moment because I'm really pushing to get my game up on the Metastore as soon as possible. But yeah, like lately I've been playing a lot of Miracle Pool, a lot of Zen Pinball, those types of games. But anytime I can get up and move my body and actually play a game, standing up and physical, like I'm way into it. I mean, I played Batman I completed that way faster than I planned to.
Oh, wow.
I wanted to at least give it a little bit of time because it's, such an expensive game and I was enjoying it too much. And I finished it within a few days and went, oh, okay, whoops. Oh, well.
Fair play to you to finish that game, though, considering you're like, doing this development and such. A lot of people would, in your position, would, like you said, the kind of cozier games, the pinball, the Miracle Pool, the ones that you can jump in for 15 minutes and kind of take your mind off things and such. But you finished Batman, which is amazing. So I guess one of these like AAA games that are coming out, with like Deadpool or Reach or something, maybe one of those you'll pick up this fall if you have the time.
Yeah, I'm kind of an all or nothing person sometimes, so I'll go in deep in something and smash it out, and then go and move on to something else. But yeah, that's the thing, is that like sort of it becomes a bit of a thing of like, oh well, if I've got a bit of time, I should put it in the game. That's sort of why I've been streaming my development as much as possible, because it puts me into that zone, and I managed to stay at it and keep cranking it out until I like hit some kind of wall, or I'm having a bit of issues, and then I'm like, oh, okay, I need a bit of a break. So
where are you streaming to? I see that you have some YouTube videos up. Are you streaming to YouTube as well, or is it Twitch?
No, I'm mostly Twitch at the moment.
Twitch.
Yeah, I've done a little bit of YouTube. Got a bit of a history in YouTube as well. But we've been doing a few different things in YouTube for a long time. But yeah, currently I'm streaming to Twitch just because it's a nice small community. It's slow TV. Like I am literally just in front of my computer working for like 6 to 8 hours or whatever. But I've got a few people that put me on in the background and have it on during the day.
Content.
So yeah, definitely. And I think I like that style a little bit more. I think it sort of shows the progress, and I think I think that's cool. Like everything on the internet is so polished and so like montagey or time-lapsey and things like that. I think sometimes it's good to like watch it in real time and see, oh, okay, no, this takes a long time to do. This takes a lot of dedication. This is sort of a more realistic view of what it's like to actually try and make something like this.
I love that.
I guess we've buried this deep into the pod now, but let's talk about Pedal Rebel VR.
Yeah,
a bit.
okay. Well,
so
what is talking about it?
Let's tell the people about it.
Yeah, for sure. Someone actually did send me a link to you mentioning it on the pod, so that was good.
All right.
Yeah, so carrying on from the bow and arrow experience, that was the thing, is that like we were deep in COVID. I was doing a lot of video editing at the time. I was doing a lot of photo editing. I was stuck at my desk like constantly in this fairly small room, and it was like, I need a way to move my body around. I need something. I've never stuck to a good exercise routine or anything like that. I didn't really like sports either at the time. In fact, I was working in sports, so that made me like it even less. I needed something, and at the time too, we were noticing that, you know, a lot of Quest 2s were sitting on shelves gathering dust. Like there was a bit of a lull in VR. I was trying to investigate why. And I figured it's because play space, right? Like, I mean, if the next upgrade to your VR setup is real estate, that's not really approachable for a lot of people, especially in cities like mine and in Australia. Quite a lot of us rent and we have small spaces, and we can't always open up or take over the whole house with our VR setup. So I wanted to try and find a way to shrink down VR into a small space, but a big experience. And quite literally, my landlady threw out an exercise bike, and I walked home from work and went, "Hey, wait a minute."
Wow.
An exercise bike would be perfect in VR. So I dragged it back into the house and started experimenting. And within hours, I'd opened up Unity, strapped it to my ankle, strapped a VR controller to my ankle, and started pedaling, and it worked. And the rest is history.
Wow, that really is like, someone show me a sign.
Yeah.
And boom, there it is.
That's really cool. So are you much of a cyclist yourself? Like, you always been into bikes, or do you have like a bike affinity to link to this game, or is it just been solely from that exercise bike and you want to bring like a new fitness experience?
Yeah, I mean, I had a bike growing up. I used to ride to school and things like that. Then I got stolen, and then I moved to a city, and I actually lived on a really main road at the time. And I was like, there is no way I'm cycling anywhere.
Yeah, fair enough.
With trucks going by all the time, everything. Yeah. I guess there was like a bit of a longing for that. Like, it'd been a while since that I was able to kind of do that. And there's sort of a childhood freedom to having a bike, and that you feel that kind of sense of independence. And but mostly it was like, yeah, like this is a physical exercise. It's something we can do. At the time, I'd even like just jammed my bike against my desk so I could work while riding and things like that. I was just trying to find a way to sort of maintain this meat suit of mine a little bit, because like I'd been living in the digital world so much. And then, yeah, like it sort of harkened back to that PS2 era of like your Need for Speed Underground and your Burnouts and things like that. It's just that fast, visceral, like thrilling gameplay that I kind of had a longing for, and was like, well, if we can do that in VR, that's going to be so much more intense. Plus the physical exercise of it is just going to pull you in so much more. And then you don't have to do it for very long. So you should be able to squeeze it into your day quite easily. Because the game is kind of enhancing that feeling and getting your heart rate up. So that was sort of the inception of it. Started experimenting and started putting it all together.
Nice. And can we quickly, I know there's much more of the game we want to talk about, but I just want to talk about the music choice for a start. Like, the music's kind of addictive, and it kind of suits the I would say what you got, the neon kind of cyberpunk-esque kind of aesthetic, but it's very drum and bassy, a little bit of dubsteppy and such and whatnot. When it comes to the music, like, what was the choice behind that? And is that just like free music that you can download, or is this something that you've kind of gotten someone to kind of put together? Can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, so that's sort of the aspect of it, right? Like, similar, like I already mentioned, Need for Speed Underground and Burnout, things like that. Like, the music was such a big part of those games, and what's so memorable about it. Of course, we were all angsty teens listening to metalcore and things like that at the time. And then it started moving into more like kind of your rap scene and things like that as it went on. For this, I was like, well, I want this to be a fast game. I want this to be like a busy highway. I want to be dodging cars. I want it to be super futuristic. And especially like starting out in the prototype phase, I noticed that having the bike movement be 1-to-1 wasn't very engaging. Like if you just pedal a little bit and you're moving the speed of a regular cyclist, I was like, this isn't as fun. But it was when I started like ramping it up, that's when it really started to become engaging. And I went, okay, well, let's now think about the world of what this could be in. And then I went, well, now clearly we're in a sci-fi kind of cyberpunk 80s style thing where like you're powering the bike as you pedal, you're stealing energy from the bikes around you as you move. So what kind of world does that fit into? And quite honestly, like I've been listening to a lot of synthwave. I've been listening to a lot of like retro, new wave retro music on YouTube and things like that. Mostly while I'm coding, while I'm working. It's just really good background music and kind of it just creates a good vibe. I thought because I'm also targeting the Quest, because we're looking at these mobile platforms, the game has to have a bold stylistic look. Rather than going for like high fidelity, going for that more realistic look. So that all just sort of lined up really well. I was like, well, if I do these really bright neon colors, we can add the soundtrack in, the gameplay sort of matches what I want out of it from a fitness tool. But from the get-go, I was like, this needs to look and feel like a video game first. I do not want this to look like I'm, some fitness company, some app or whatever. I don't want it to sort of look like it's looking down on you and saying you should get off your ass and you should do this, right? Like it needs to be a fun experience and the fitness needs to be the byproduct. You know what I mean? And that's sort of where I'm at. Yeah,
you definitely nailed that. I will say. Sorry to interrupt. There, it's kind of hard on the on the Riverside, but you really did nail that vibe for sure. Just wanted to say.
Thanks. Yeah, there's a bit of internet connection. There's, I'm in upside down land, of course. So that was sort of that aspect of it, right? Is that the game needs to have this awesome look and feel. The game has to be the draw. Because we're asking a lot of people that aren't used to this kind of thing, right? And that was the thing. I was like, I think gamers need the most help out of anybody to just kind of get a little bit more activity in their day. But also, I know from myself that if a really awesome game comes out and I see the trailer, I'm like, oh, I need to play this game. And then it's like, oh, it's on this console. Oh, you need this controller. Oh, you need this. And it's like, well, I don't care. I'm going to do that. And I feel like the more novel and the more different an experience is, the more that that demographic and those specific gamers will be like, I don't care what I need to acquire, I will play this game, right? Like when Squadrons came out and we found out it was VR support and we found out it had HOTAS support, I'm like, I need one of these things. And I spent probably more time setting up the game and getting it running perfectly than I did actually playing the game, to the point where I had like boxes and like bits of wood and all sorts of stuff like duct tape to things around my desk so that I could have the controllers exactly where they are in the cockpit, and I'm like whipping around in an X-Wing. Wow. And I thought, like, if I can sort of find that audience with my game as well and do this thing and try to make it as easy as possible. So that's why I've made it so that it works with any exercise bike. You can attach the controller to your leg, or do whatever you need to do in order to make it work. You can play it without a bike as well, but obviously it's just nowhere near as fun. Yeah. But what's funny is that the pedaling is immersive in itself, but I think the most immersive aspect of the game in general is actually the handlebars. Like, they don't do anything, but hanging onto the handlebars and playing the game, you're like, oh, like, I'm in it. And I've seen people that absolutely white knuckling the handlebars. We've had people that just like, they get way too into the game and they start throwing their weight around. I have to hold the bike down and tell them not to tip it over. It really is like this kind of next level experience that because your full body is involved, it pulls you in. In terms of the music, actually, so the the title track in the trailer I actually created, and then some of the other music in the game a friend of mine has created. We've sort of gone back and forth on the style of what we want to include. But going forward, like I want to involve as many small artists as possible to start with, and then maybe we can do some collaborations with some larger artists as the game grows.
Yeah, that's cool.
So you mentioned the pedaling. So the way it works is what I did was I have the knuckle strap on my Quest controller. So I just stuck my hand and like rested my hand on my thigh. But I've seen some people like basically tie it to their thigh or something. And then the game is tracking your legs sort of going up and down, I take it. Really cool. And it really works. Like, I know you say it doesn't go 1-to-1, but it like tricks you into feeling like you're actually like doing this. It's just so cool to like have like such a unique, like there's some, people can like, oh, I got teleport, I got node to node, I got smooth turning, but do you have biking?
Bike pedaling?
And so I'm just curious, like how many iterations of that process have you been through? Like how have you perfected that over time?
Yeah, so sort of as I explained before, like I'm more in the media space than I am gaming and programming and stuff like that. So the famous quote from my uni days was my lecturer told me that you are the dumbest smart person I've ever met. This is like a really simple programming task that we had to do, and I did it the dumbest way possible. It was probably 3 times the amount of code that it needed to be. So, and as you've probably already heard through my anecdotes, my lifestyle is very much like, duct tape and pot sticks and things like that. Like it is not a elegant or any form of like polished process at all. No, I'm just duct taping stuff together. I have a makeshift virtual pinball machine over there right now, which is just a TV lying down with 2 mice duct taped to it. Like that's my style. Wow. So quite literally, the first iteration was a Vive controller strapped to my ankle. And then I just started polling the position of the controller, and so long as the position was a certain distance apart from the last time it was checked, then all right, sweet, we'll give you a little bit of speed, and you can build up momentum from there. That was sort of that starting kind of iteration. The funniest part of development was actually when the Quest came out. And initially I was like, oh yeah, it's never going to be as good as like PC VR, whatever. And then I tried it and went, oh, damn, this is so easy to set up.
Yeah.
Now I have to pivot to just working on a mobile chip. What am I going to do? And then went, oh, no, it has cameras on it. It needs to see the controller. I'm strapping a controller to the ankle. How am I going to get this to work? And it took me way longer than I care to admit to be like, no, just put it on your thigh. It's the same thing.
It sounds so simple now that you've solved it.
Yeah, but at the time I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like how now I have to find a new way to track the controller and all this stuff. And like, yeah, initially like I thought, yeah, with Lighthouse tracking, I could do like an actual circular tracking motion, and I could then check if you're actually pedaling or if you're doing a wee waggle or anything like that. But honestly, like there's no way I'm going to be able to lock it down and make it like this is perfect 1-to-1 experience or whatever. And yeah, the setup was already so extensive that like you're just cheating yourself if you're not playing properly. And so I've just gone with that. I do really plan on getting the cadence sensors working in the headset in the game, like eventually. A couple of the other fitness games have already got that working. It's just complicated Bluetooth stuff, so I haven't done that yet. But yeah, so that was sort of the process. It was like strap this thing to my ankle, see if I can get it working, and then eventually got it to work on the thigh quite well. And the funny thing was we've like planned on like releasing like a 3D printable dock or something that you can put your controller in and put it to like, and then we'd share an Amazon link or something to one of those nice like elastic Velcro straps. But it's actually been really fun demoing it at events with just a piece of elastic and duct tape. because people understand that way better. And especially at some of the events we've gone, we're talking mostly to parents, we're talking to like less tech people, and their kids get really excited about it and everything. And so it's actually fun to show it off and then be like, hey, look, it's just duct tape. If your kid has a Quest, it works with any bike, right? So that's been a fun way to do it as well.
Yeah, that's important because what I realized is, I don't have like a strap. I didn't think of, maybe I don't have the same brain as you, Jono. I didn't think of duct tape and all that stuff, to be honest. But I had it on, I did the same as Samson, basically. I just basically rested my hand on there, but it's a little bit awkward because then you're only holding the handlebar of the bike with your right arm, right? So having it strapped seems like the perfect idea. And I was like, okay, I need to go on Amazon and buy one of these straps and such. But that is a little bit of a friction point, of course. But then if you show everyone that, like, hey, there are some household items that you could maybe do this and it's fine. So I'm curious because obviously I'm not a VR dev, so I don't really know how it works. So excuse me on that. But when it comes to the orientation of the controller, that doesn't matter whatsoever because you're just literally looking at the axes of it going up and down. So someone could rest it like any orientation on their thigh and it should just work fine.
Yeah, pretty much. Like for the Quest 3 and 3S, it does help if the face, like sort of the black face part with the buttons and that is facing the controller, just because it uses the LEDs to sync.
Right.
When we were doing the Quest 2, it was really simple because the ring is pretty much always visible. You just got to be careful with it, like catching on stuff, which we've had once before, which wasn't amazing. But yeah, and like I said, cadence sensor support coming in the future, hopefully. Which then makes it so much easier. But when I started development of the game, like I wasn't really as aware of these types of devices and figured that purchasing another device specifically for the game would be another friction point on top of a friction point on top of a friction point. But now they're like $16 on Amazon. You could probably get it next day. You just strap it to the pedal of the bike and away you go. So that's kind of stuff has made it a lot easier and a lot more simple. So initially it was just like, hey, well, if I can use the existing controller that comes with the headset, then at least people can give it a go straight away and see if they like it or not.
Yeah, it's a big
thing. I will say, anecdotally, we did a poll in the Discord and 6 people said they have a stationary bike at home and 7 said they do not. So you're almost looking at 45%, 46% there. And I do think that, like, I feel like people in the VR niche are more likely, this is totally by my gut, but they're more likely to have these things at home. The workout bikes, an extra VR headset, the PC, etc. I do feel like it's not necessarily uncommon.
Or like in my apartment, I have a gym in the apartment, so that's what I used.
There you go. Well, I did hear in a previous podcast that someone has been trying to move their elliptical out of their room, so
it's still right behind me. Still right. I need like the thing is, I hate asking for like that type of favor, and so I'm just like waiting for the time where like my girlfriend's brother happens to be over to help her out, and then I can like kind of weasel in. I don't want to be the impetus for it, you know?
No, most guys like being asked to lift heavy things, especially in front of women. And that's the thing, like, especially like you mentioned with your Discord community and being involved with the upload showcase and things like that. It was like that's the hardcores, right? Those are the toaster face people. Those are the guys and girls that have been into VR for a while now, that like to tinker with things, that aren't afraid to get things working, and kind of a part of that, like that they know that sort of like that reward loop, right? Of like, a bunch of setup time, but now it's the coolest experience and things like that. So that's sort of like the audience that I'm really shooting for first, is that kind of more tinkerer, tech people thing, and then branching out to that more just make a purchase on the internet and the thing arrives and then you get it working, right? So definitely wanted to start in that smaller community of VR hardcore people that can then like help me try and test it and come up with all those ideas and suggestions in the Discord and things like that. And then when it's a little bit more ready and it's out of early access, then it's like I'll probably just have a bundle deal and hopefully some kind of discount or some kind of partnership where you can just buy the bike, the game, headset, cadence sensor, whatever, all in one go is sort of where we're heading towards.
Oh, you said that it works for like pretty much every bike, which is great. But there are like, you know how when you're sat at a desk and you can buy one of those like pedals underneath the desk and such. It should probably work with that as well, I guess. But maybe your
depends how much your legs go.
I guess so. Because they're really cheap to buy. They're like what in Canadian dollars, they're like $50 to $100 Canadian, which is similar to an Australian currency at this point, I think, to be honest, as well.
Yeah.
And you could have a small one of that in your home, is what I'm trying to say, rather than having a full-on stationary bike. Even though stationary bikes can be really thin and compact too as well. But I'm just wondering if it would work with that. I don't know if you've tried it at all.
So I've tried a little bit with those, like, sort of the ones you're talking about where it's just pedals. It's not really, it doesn't have the full handlebars and everything. So yeah, it does work with those kinds of things. Depends on like if you're going to be right under your desk, then it probably won't work as well because the controller might desync and things like that. But like I was saying before, like the funny thing is that like the pedals is one part. The handlebars is sort of like is even more part of the game than not. And being in that biking position on an actual bike, especially if it's like that spin bike kind of feel and you can really lean forward, it's just that pose and posture seems to like really pull you into the VR experience. Which is funny too, because it's we've actually noticed that certain expos and stuff that we've done that like putting like completely VR virgins, like people have never done it before, into my game first seems like a really dumb idea. But it's actually a really good idea. So really
movement-wise, I would think so, yeah.
Yeah, and because like we had people that were doing stationary sitting experiences coming out feeling motion sick because of that mind-body dissonance that we know a little bit about. This seems to leapfrog over that quite smoothly, and we even had people that said like, I've got vision problems or I've got vertigo problems and things like that. And I said, look, you're more than welcome to give it a go. You don't have to, don't feel pressured to or whatever. And as soon as you feel anything, just close your eyes and say stop, and we'll stop. And we had people like loving it, which I was really impressed by. And yeah, it just seems that like once your legs are moving, your body goes goes into bike mode and just starts to accept the visuals as it comes through. We've demoed enough times at enough events now that I can pretty much tell the age of somebody by the experience of them going over the first jump. And it's about over the age of like 27, 28. They start to go like, it goes from a whoa to a whoa. And awesome. It's just been really funny that like I sort of accidentally created this roller coaster-esque experience by just slowly ramping up things and then adding a few jumps and a few curves and whatever. We had one person at the latest expo we did. I've got a reel of it on my socials, but their kid was just like on the small bike, completely stone-faced, no reaction, just playing the game, just enjoying themselves, not a peep. And the mum was just losing her everything. To the point where we're like, there's kids around, like, shush. And she was screaming to the point where I nearly had to pull her out because I was like, I can't tell if she stopped having a good time or not.
Yeah, that's
and she managed to just get over the finish line, I think, as she was about to have had enough. And like was like, oh, thank God. Like, it's like...
All this without the motion sickness as well. Like the game travels so fast at times, depending on how fast you pedal, I guess. But it is just a fast game in general because of the way you've tuned it. And I did not experience any motion sickness. And I'm curious to see if, like, I know you mentioned the lack of vertigo and all that stuff, but from demoing it to a lot of people, was any motion sickness creeping up for certain demographics or anything like that, or is it?
Yeah, we've
pretty
had
good?
like just a couple of people where it was just a bit much.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't even chalk that up to motion sickness. I think it was just a genuinely just like unprepared.
There's a lot happening,
or
to
just
be honest,
very
as
visual,
well.
or just a kind of a new experience, or even just like like if you're in an expo space as well, like you might feel a little bit vulnerable, a little bit exposed, or whatever. But yeah, I would chalk it up to like literally the 5%, not even, of people that have come off and gone, oh, that genuinely made me feel woozy. It's a very, very small amount. And yeah, like I said, we've had a lot of people come on and go, oh, I know I don't like VR, blah 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 before, and I'm a little bit convincing, and I just sort of like try to like, oh, well, you don't have to try for a little bit or whatever, because unfortunately, like we're still in this hangover period after like Google Cardboard and things like that. People just still think that VR is terrible.
People don't want to try
right?
it.
Yeah.
And it is a real struggle. In fact, we were at an event at South by Southwest Sydney a year ago, no, 2 years ago, and actually managed to chat with Charlie Brooker from Black Mirror. And I went up to him and I said, thanks for making it so difficult to put VR headsets on people after him making the Halo episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's still some of these friction points of people having a bad experience. And so it's still a little bit of a struggle, but I like to just at least try to get people as much as possible to at least give it a go. What I've been doing lately is I've got like a more of a Halo kind of strap for my Quest 3, I've got the facial interface of it actually off. And because the lenses have come such a long way, if someone's a little bit hesitant, I'll say, well, just look into this headset. Like, don't put it on, don't put it over your eyes, like, don't put it over your face. Like, just have a look into it. And quite a lot of people are quite surprised at just how visually it is and everything like that. And it's actually my preferred way of playing now. I actually play a lot of games with the facial interface off completely and just have it kind of locked in into that Halo strap style. Especially when you are playing Batman in a small kitchen and you don't want to punch lots of things.
I agree.
I think Dan and I both use the open interface at this point. So,
we both do.
We can,
I love the open interface because when I had the Quest Pro for a little bit, I loved the fact of using that without the facial interface because it did work so well. Kind of like if you had a Halo, it works, but obviously that doesn't work when you're not having a Halo strap. So I don't have a Halo strap, but I have we both use the open face, and it's nice because you still like when you're in the game, you still kind of feel like super immersed for sure. Like it's still pretty good, but you do have that little bit of extra where you can see slightly where you are. And also I feel like having the opened it just brings more like breathability in your eyes, like brings more airflow, so I feel like I could stay in VR a little bit longer.
You bring up the Quest Pro, which makes me think of, have you tried this with the Quest Pro controllers, and does it work with the Quest 2?
So I've been developing it primarily for the Quest 2. So we demo it with Quest 2s mostly. We usually got a flagship for the adults on the Quest 3 or people that they have glasses or whatever. But mostly for the kids, we're demoing it on the Quest 2 just because it's good to point at it and say these are only a few $100s now secondhand. I've got a friend of mine from the stream that has been testing it on the Quest Pro. And so seems to work fine. As I said, it's just checking the position of the controller, so it's not doing anything super fancy, but I'm assuming that it would work a lot better on the Quest Pro, especially like if it's slightly obscured or you're standing up or doing anything like that. And it's just that across the board, I'm trying to get it to work with most headsets. Still recommend wireless as much as possible because,
makes sense.
Pedals moving, cables, things like that. We've even had one kid who had loose shoelaces and we didn't see, and it started to wrap around his foot.
Oh no!
On the pedal and things like that, and so you got to be careful with that kind of stuff. And that's another aspect of why I'm kind of enjoying that facial interface-less headset experience. Quite a lot of questions I would get early on would be all about sweat and and things like that, and does it fog the lenses up and blah blah blah. But now that the lenses are so good, you don't really need that fully enclosed thing, and we've got these head straps now that are able to sort of just suspend the screens in front of your face instead of it resting on your face is great, right? My partner doesn't really like the Quest headsets as much, but really quite enjoyed the Pico head strap because it was more kind of forehead base, then it was a larger cushion on the forehead. I get it really bad on my cheekbones, like when the headset's resting there for a long time. It's can get quite frustrating, especially like when you do need to cable in or something like that, or run some other battery or whatever if you're playing for a long session. So I'm thoroughly enjoying having it without, and just having it sort of floating there, no facial interface. Like early on, like I was a little bit against it. Like I was like, no, I want to be fully immersed. I want it like, especially coming from like an old OLED Vive system or something, like you've got this big thing strapped to your face and it's fully, completely blacked out. It's types of games that like really want to get pulled into that experience. But yeah, like it's just a little bit safer, and what, like you said, like once you're focused on the game, like you don't really notice the difference so much.
Yeah, and then I just want to ask, like, obviously we're still in development here. We obviously it's in early access where people can try it out and such. But when it comes to like currently in development, like what's the challenges that you're facing right now, or what's the stuff that like are really taking a lot of time that you really want to push out, but it is taking much longer? Maybe cadence sensor support is similar to what I'm asking here.
Yeah, there's a lot of challenges. Just everything at the moment is a challenge. So yeah, like even posting to the meta store, like I've had my Steam page up for a while now, which is really cool. We're like getting to around 500 wish lists. We're getting like last time I checked, it was about 110,000 impressions and 25,000 views on the Steam page, which is really cool.
Nice.
But even just posting to the meta page, you need to submit a build, and the build needs to pass all of the performance checks, even if it's nowhere near complete, even if it's like early access or whatever. So optimization has been a big one, especially because it needs to run on the Quest 2. You're not allowed to build anything for the Quest 1 anymore, so it has to, the Quest 2 is the bar. So that's a big one is performance, and especially a game like mine. I've got stuff popping in all the time. We're moving at very fast speeds, and just for comfort in general, like I don't ever want to dip below 72 hertz because that's just when people are going to start to feel motion sickness and things like that. So performance is a big one. And then it's like, I mean, a big one is just time. Just everything is very time consuming. But I've started like throughout this year, I wanted to have better like kind of data tracking and things like that so that we can see when people are playing and people can kind of get like that, almost that high score kind of feeling, that leaderboard stuff. So I've been implementing all of that stuff, which is really, really fun and really exciting to do. But then it's just like, it just opens up like a whole other can of worms of like how we wanted to have like player profiles and all this kind of like fun online kind of persistent world thing, collective multiplayer goals and things like that. So that's been really fun to work on, but it's like, okay, but also just the game needs to work and it needs to run well and it needs to have, the basic features first so that people have enough to sink their teeth into when they start playing, so that they'll actually stick to it, right? So that's why I've kind of been hesitant to release anything as of yet. As I said, I'm working on the meta page pretty solidly. We've got a big event coming up in Sydney on the 18th. We're going to be doing a big demo on the stage there. So that's going to be really exciting. So it's like I want to have something to sort of show off there that's new and different. And then it's content, right? I mean, you do have a question in here about scope creep, and that's something that is very hard when you're a solo dev, and especially someone like me who has all these ideas, but like there's where my brain is at and where my actual code is at is there's a huge gap there. And, of course, I'd love to make an entire like campaign mode and have like a full on like underdog style roguelike system involved and all that. It's just slowly rolling out bits and pieces as we go and going from there.
Yeah, you kind of need that MVP.
It's funny how like similar really the Ancient Dungeon dev, he talked about the feature creep and being in EA for a long time, and he's pretty much alone working on his game. And even like Lucas Martel, when he started working on Mighty Coconut, and he was talking about all this like the spaghetti code, and that's like just all I'm thinking about now is it's like, yeah, it's just like with Walkabout, how they had to like kind of go back and like it sounded like almost take things down to get like a baseline so that then they could keep building up. Whereas it kind of sounds similar, like you're seeing all these features, but it's kind of hard to duct tape them all together.
Oh, totally. And the tech debt is real, right? I mean, what's really frustrating is that going through this optimization phase that I've had to do with this Metastore thing, I had to go back and look at some really, really old code, and it's just embarrassing when you look at it and you go back and you're like, what was I thinking? I don't need to check all these things every single frame. That's stupid.
Yeah.
Of course, this little mobile processor can't keep up.
That's funny.
Yeah, I guess that's as your game evolves, it's so easy to go back and try and fix old things and refactor it and make it much more cleaner. But I guess it's a tough one to do when you're just on your own, because you got to stay disciplined, but you just got to go, okay, this is what my MVP is, what I want it to look like when it does go on the Metastore. You just got to kind of put it together, piece it together so it can get out like that, and then obviously optimize it even further in terms of like features and such afterwards. So it's a tough one. So you're just pretty much doing this on your own?
Yeah, no, I'm fully solo. The graphic design, like I said, the title tracks, so some of the music, sound effects,
Amazing.
the video editing, everything is all solo. So it is just it's kind of intense, and it's just part time, right? Like we've all got jobs, we all have to do other stuff in our day to day. So that's the thing about that, and also like. I'm learning as I'm going, right? Like this is sort of my first like commercial project. So there's the expectations versus reality aspect of that too, right? Especially like with this, like I said, this little mobile chip, that's like the little engine that could chilling in those Quest 2s, and it's trying its best. But like, you know, I've got all these streetlights in the game that flashed the music and whatever, where it's like, well, no, those can't be real streetlights, and they can't have real reflections on the bikes and the cars that go past, because that's just too much. So my hacky solution to that was to crank the bloom really, really high in post-processing and then turn everything down except for the street lights, and now they look like street lights, which is great.
It's amazing.
But it still means that there's still lots of street lights pulsing, and so you have to then like be really careful with what materials you use and things like that. But it's hard to have you're still sort of in the prototype phase, but you also have to have an optimized build in order to post your and actually to post your page. And the scary part too on the Metastore is once you post your page, you've got like 130 days to release. It's like you can't stay early access or you can't stay coming soon on Meta forever like you can on Steam. You've got 130 days to post a build into early access. So that's why I haven't done it yet, because I was like, oh God, like I'm not 130 days away from release. Like, you know, with work and things like that, sometimes I can't touch the game for a couple of months or whatever, right? So that's why I'm trying to do this more bit by bit. I'm trying to stream more frequently, because it sort of helps me stay engaged and at least like not sit on things and not mull things over for too long or whatever. And it's like, no, let's get the next thing. Let's just take the next step. And so what's kind of funny is that like in applying for grants and other kind of applications and other things that have sort of surrounded the game about it, like it makes you have to think about your game more. It makes you think about these kinds of things. And so when a grant application asks you like, is your game story based? It's like, well, it definitely could be. And there's all these fun aspects of how the game could have this really, really in-depth story and this kind of progression to it. But then it also sort of explains like the process on how to make the game as well, right? Where it's like within fitness, it's like one step at a time. It doesn't matter how much you exercise one week, you still need to exercise the next week and the week after that. And it's a maintaining thing. It's a thing that you got to do frequently in small steps. And that's something I struggle with in general anyway. So that's something that's like kind of something that I'm learning as well, is that like, you know, even just throwing an hour here or there into the game more rather than like, okay, I've got nothing on Tuesday. Let's just hit it all day on Tuesday and things like that. So there's all these kind of learnings about it as well, where it's like, like just chipping away at it. And so I think that's fun that people can see that on the stream, where it is just like you just day at a time chipping away at it, because a lot of these indie devs and you see online people are like, oh, where's this, where's that, why isn't it like this or whatever. It's like this is hard, guys. It's not easy to do this, and it's very, very time consuming, but really patience is a virtue sometimes.
I'm looking forward. I guess you don't really have a like schedule when you do it on Twitch. It's just whenever you can build it, you'd probably start streaming on Twitch and such. There's no like set schedule that you currently have.
Yeah, currently I don't have a set schedule. I'm trying to set it to like Mondays. The problem is like because with my other work, like I'm constantly filming sports or different events and things like that. So my calendar is all over the place as it is. But I'm trying to stick to like a Monday evenings thing. Yeah. But we'll see how we go. But it's just like wherever I've got some time, I throw on the Twitch and do some dev work on there, and that's sort of it. And then same for the game itself. Like I said, I'm pushing really hard to get the Metastore page up, hopefully this month, so that we can actually start gathering wish lists and getting the word out there on Meta as well as Steam. I'm going to do a couple of updates on the Steam page. The open alpha we did as part of the Upload Showcase VR was really, really cool. Upload VR Showcase was really cool. We had about 79 people sign up for that, which was really cool. And give us a little bit of feedback and things like that. And then I'm slowly building on the next build for that, adding a few bits and pieces, optimizing things like that. And then hopefully, early access within, I don't know, 6 months, something like that. We'll see.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. Amazing. Well, I only have one more question, and Samson, I don't know if you have any more questions, but you've kind of already alluded to it, especially your Twitch really helps as well. But I used to ask this to a lot of developers that used to come on the show, but if there is any like aspiring developers and such, is there just one piece of advice that you'd give them when it comes to VR development?
Okay, yeah, definitely. I've got some advice for burgeoning indie devs. So just check out everything that I've done and do the opposite.
I love it.
Do the opposite, the George Costanza method.
Exactly. No, so it's interesting, right? Like my theory going into all of this was like, well, VR space is like a gold rush. It's brand new. Nobody's like doing stuff in VR. So I can stand out really easily and be a part of that. Awesome. Oh my God, nobody's doing a game with a bike. That's great. That means I'm going to stand out and be really obvious and be really innovative and like excellent. So cool. All these things are, it's like I've specifically targeted like, okay, here's a space where there's a gap where I can be the only person. And then in contrast to that, it's more like, well, it's unproven. It's too innovative. Nobody knows what it is. And so therefore, don't know if they can support it or not. Don't know if they're going to like it or whatever. Or like so many people don't like VR and things like that. So it's really tough. I mean, the advice that goes out on YouTube and like most of like the dev space is start with something really small, something achievable. Drop it on Itch, drop it on Steam, things like that, and gather feedback. I've done the total opposite thing, and especially to like, don't work on your dream game. The problem is that like, again, with scope creep and things like that, like I want this game to be freaking massive. I want this game to have all of these amazing things, and it's not feasible, right? So I'd say like if that's like, but part of that advice usually is that it needs to be something that you're interested in. It's something that you are going to actually stick to, right? It's not something you're going to get bored of and move on. Neurospicy anecdote here, there, whatever. It's all those kinds of things. So it's tough. Like you can totally put it down the middle, right? You could. If you're just starting out, do something that's achievable, do something that's within your skill set a little bit, maybe just slightly out of reach so that you can grow and learn. But then, like it's okay to make a proof of concept. It's okay to release something small. It's okay to build on that. It's okay to go forward. I think initially I was very scared that someone was going to do my idea before me, or someone was going to steal my idea, so I didn't want to post anything. That's really, really bad advice. Definitely, you want to be posting stuff. You want to be showing people what you're working on. You want to be kind of putting that out there, because there are plenty of other people that will see that idea and they'll buy it, they'll follow, they'll do all those things just for the idea alone. They might not even be interested in VR. They might not even be interested in the game specifically. They might buy it and never play it, but like I see it a lot, and I do as well. I go, that's an awesome idea for a game. Buy. And then it sits in my Steam list forever, right? But it's like no, but that's what we're here for, and I think that's that indie spirit, right? Is that like you can tell when a game's made by a small team. You can tell when a game's made by a passionate group of people, where it's like, heck yeah, I'm gonna buy the crap out of that game when it comes out. That's awesome, right? So as soon as you can get that Steam page up and start gathering those wish lists, it's really important. But so scope is a big one. Do something that's achievable, and then the cool thing is that with your early access stuff now, and especially on the Meta platform as well, is that you can release your game and then you can add features as you go. You can gauge the interest of like how many people are interested in the game, how many people are going to buy this game, how long do people play it for, and things like that. And you can use that feedback to sort of channel your energy and see how much you want to invest in the game. And on the Meta platform, you can even A/B test pricing, and you can increase your pricing as you update the game in early access as well, right? So like, I feel a lot of pressure that like if I was to release my game tomorrow for $25, no one's going to buy it, or people are going to be disappointed. I'm going to get bad reviews, right? But you can release the game quite cheaply on Meta, especially, and then just increase the price as you update the game. Let everybody know beforehand and say, hey, I'm about to update the game. I'm about to update the pricing. If you're interested, buy it now and you get all the updates for free, right? So there are those ways of sort of doing that almost co-development style where you're starting to build a community as you're building the game. You can bring people along with you. You can do podcasts like this and things like that, and get involved with showcases and your local dev scene and things like that. And let the audience build as you're building the game, and then hopefully you can release to an expectant audience, but also they have accurate expectations as well. You can do a little bit of expectation management as you're developing the game as well. But there's never been a better time to get into game development. The tools are incredible. There's so much free content out there to help out. There's so much free advice out there. It's definitely something that helps, especially if you've got a not that fulfilling day job or whatever. It's a good little side hustle. It's a good little hobby to get into that then can turn into your main gig if successful to strike.
Wow, that was a fantastic answer. It might have been the best answer we've had when it comes to that question. Jono, it's obviously clear that you learned a hell of a lot in this process and continue to learn, and Pedal Rebel's really, really cool. I mean, Samson can't stop shutting. Like, he keeps talking about it. He doesn't shut up about it. Samson, is there any other questions you wanted to ask Jono before we round off here?
I don't think I have any more questions, but thank you so much for coming on. I am holding out for the cadence sensor, I will say. I do very much look forward to that, because I do have to get back on my bike. But yeah, it's very fun. It's such a cool idea. I really just wish you the best. Thank you for coming on. And I do want to shout out the Rough Talk showcase, where I believe you got your first showcase showing there. So friends of the show over there, the Rough Talk dudes.
Oh, totally. The Rough Talk VR showcase was awesome. Like, that's like those communities like that, the Rough Talk guys, these smaller VR podcasts. I think that's really where it's at. The big thing is that, like, especially as a solo dev, and game dev is a single player game sometimes in itself, and it can be quite lonesome, and you could be looking at the tech news a bunch and looking at all this stuff, and especially in VR, like these have been some grim years the last couple of years. I know plenty of teams that have shut down, that have scaled down, that have had to move on and try to do something different, or have switched back to doing board games or tabletop or small strategy games, mobile games, things like that, because the space has been really tough. But it's podcasts like you guys, like Rough Talk and all of that really keep us going. Going to tech events and meeting some of these devs and things like that. Like it's sometimes that's all it takes, is like a bit of that motivation, a little bit of that optimism as well. I think the Rough Talk guys are super positive about the space. They're super positive about games coming out. They keep telling people to increase their prices and drop more DLC and things like that, like stuff that we're all scared of doing, and asking for help and asking for gamers to kind of to reach out or to stand up for us and to express those more positive things. So those communities are so essential. And yeah, a lot of these content creators out there are doing it part-time, are doing it really scrappy, and they're just putting their time and energy and passion into this VR space. And like I've said on other podcasts as well, is it's like this is a passion space. And if it slowly becomes less and less commercially viable, doesn't mean VR is going anywhere, because there are so many people in this space already that are just doing it on pure passion, that'll do it if there was no money involved at all, right? And and also just quick mention of your elliptical. You could definitely play Pedal Rebel on the elliptical, and you could just attach the controller to the handlebars instead of on your leg.
Oh, yeah.
And it would work exactly the same, and you wouldn't need a cadence sensor. You could start playing today.
Yeah, that's a good. And you don't have a leg strap yet. You currently just put it through your.
Yeah, I could
hand,
just use the knuckle strap, put it over the like arm thing or whatever. Yeah,
you gotta try that out.
Just the same.
You gotta
I'm gonna see some high scores on the leaderboard then pretty soon. Am I?
You gotta report back, Samson.
All arms.
Jono, thanks so much for joining us, and joining us so early as well, obviously being in Australia. Really appreciate it. Good luck with obviously the early access. Hopefully that does come out over the next 6 months, and best of luck for that. And we'll be cheering you on over this side from the world, shall I say. And yeah, Samson, you got to try this elliptical. I gotta hear about that. I gotta see this working. But yeah, appreciate it, Jono. Do you want to plug anything quickly? Your Twitch channel as well. What is it? What's the Twitch channel called?
Yeah, I'm Pedal Rebel VR and all the things. I'm Toasterface Games and all the things. Toasterface_games on Twitch. Yeah, follow, and if my little notification pops up, it could be any time, any day, anywhere. Definitely pop by and say hi and say, let's talk Oculus sent you.
Perfect.
Cheers, guys. This is fun.
All right. Thanks so much, Jono, and thanks everyone for listening, and thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.